been a while, and yeah, we are technically starting out the next season of the Art of Creation show. And I had a couple guests that are pre-record, and I was drawn to just come on and talk with you guys myself first. And a lot of things have been showing up. We took that break, and now we're back to have our next set or round of episodes until the summer break. And things are just shifting and changing, and I just really would love to share a little bit about what has been going on with me. And also, and probably even more importantly, I'm super curious to find out what's been going on with you, and if there's been anything showing up different in the last couple months for you, or month and a half. Just really curious. We are all on our own journey, of course, and I'm starting to see more and more that while we are on our own journeys, we are also on these journeys together. So, yeah, I'd really like to bring you into this, and for me, I would really like to know what's going on with you, and hopefully it's also a contribution to you. So over the last couple months, I've had a lot of really interesting things showing up with my body. So from very, very healthy, like quantitatively with blood work and how I felt and energy levels and all the things, super, super vital. February 17th, I ran a marathon. Everything was chugging along. Awesome. Then some interesting symptoms and changes with my body started to show up. And to be honest, I asked questions, but with a really big blind spot. Because what was showing up was my body asking for more rest and to address areas that I was really stressed out about, or really engaged in a lot of bodily stress around. And all these things were showing up to ask me to please change some of those things, let some of those things go, take on perhaps some other things that could allow my body to rest and recuperate and rejuvenate a little bit more. And I wouldn't. I will do anything, but I will not be that. And it was this culmination of being an infinite doer. The thing is, my sweet little body, while I may be an infinite being, my body was saying, Uncle, Mayday, hold on a minute. I may have some limitations in my physical form at this point, that, could you please listen to me? And I didn't. And I really actively didn't. Hi, Vicki. Oh, thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you're here with me, and all of us who join in. So Vicki, if you just popped on, I'm just going to share a little bit about what's been going on with me. And I know you know a little bit already from the group where we were looking at peace over the month of April. But I'd also really love to hear what's been going on with you. So please feel free, anything you're willing to share in the comments, and explore. I'd love for you to pop that in. When I was in Hawaii, I had this amazing trip in Hawaii, and if you were following the Facebook Lives that I did while I was there, you could see it was beautiful, magical, I felt great. But what I didn't realize until after was that I was drinking probably 3 to 4 coffees a day. And that may not sound like a lot to some of you, but I don't drink coffee. So usually, when I do drink coffee, it really gets me going. But to drink that much coffee and be just sort of at my norm, yeah, you can relate. That was something different. But again, I wanted to be all the places, do all the things, and my infinite being is excited to play and to show up. My poor body, man, it's just dragging it along for the ride. So we got back, and that week that we had gotten back, again, dragging, and usually I have a lot of energy, so I'm asking, what's going on, of course, but the one thing I won't look at is that I require rest, and to maybe settle down a little bit, and allow things to recuperate on this physical level. And so, that Friday after we got back, I went to bed a little early, but we had a jam-packed schedule that next day on Saturday. So, did all the things, went to the social event with my daughter, went to the soccer game, did all the other things that we had committed. And by the end of the night, I was a hurting cookie. I mean, aching everywhere, just everything ached, and so tired, and my sacrum, a ton of intensity in my sacrum, almost felt like I couldn't walk. And I'm not one to have back pains necessarily, it's not like one of my things. So I went to bed, and I started to just sweat profusely, and for 4 days, I would get up mostly to change my clothes and change the towels in my bed, because I was sweating. I was sweating the bed, sweating the bed, and it was really, really intense. There was a lot going on and a lot not going on. I mean, I don't know where I went during some of those hours over those 4 days, but I was definitely in and out. And and then over the next probably week and a half to 2 weeks, I was solidly in bed. And it gave me a lot of time for pause. I don't recall ever actually being in bed that long. The doctors gave me a diagnosis of mononucleosis. How wonderful is that? The kissing disease. And unfortunately, I didn't do near enough kissing to get that. But that's how it showed up. But what I get is, lots of you have heard me talk about the gifts in the garbage, and what gifts could come out of this. And it has been a really intense period, because even after I started to get out of bed, I was napping most of the day, and, blow drying my daughter's hair and going to muscle fatigue. I mean, less than a month after running a marathon, how crazy. But what it did was it really, the universe came to me and said, girlfriend, you lie down and listen to us. Whoever the us, whatever the us is. But it was sit down and listen, because coffee's not going to help, and you can't plow through this. You can't make something else show up here because there's a message and you need to hear it. Well, so what's come out of it in a lot of ways is I found myself really drawing into my roots, really pulling in. And I know it's the spring, right? It's this time of blossoming, of the sprouts popping up and germinating. And I felt like fall, I felt like I'm just going in, I'm going deep, going to the roots, and really kind of, just really went within. And I woke up one morning, because at one point I was like, I had these huge lymph nodes all over. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I dying? What if this is it, right? And I remember one of the mornings I woke up drenched. And there was a voice in my head, and it said, you don't have to die to blow up your life. And I was like, what? What? Yeah. And it said, you can live to blow up your life. And at the time, I didn't really, I knew it was something, but I was not really in a state to be with it. And I keep something to write with always by the side of my bed. Sometimes things pop up. And so I just kind of scribbled it in writing that I could barely even read later. But when I was ready to look at that, I went back and I read it. I'm like, shit, what does that mean? I don't want to die. Was I thinking about dying? Where does that come from? But I guess on some level, my body was doing all these crazy things. And, I guess there was a piece there. And so when I started looking at, but what does it mean to blow up my life, first of all, and to blow it up by living? And what I realized is that things were really changing for me. And I started to get a little bit creeped out about it, actually, to be fully honest. Because change that I choose, right? Choice creates. Change that I choose. It can be out of my comfort zone. It can be, exciting and a little bit scary, and we move through fear. But something that is that I'm being drawn to or pulled to or called to, that I don't have even a slight perception of exactly what it is, man, that is scary. I'll tell you. I don't know about for you. Please tell me if anything like this has shown up for you at all, because I'd really like to know. But as I kept unpacking this, what I realized is it was really time to look at, how I've been creating my life. Because it's been amazing, yes, and sustainable, not so much. And, how have I been loving the people in my life, right? How have I been honoring the things, the activities, the groups in my life? And have I in any way forgotten to include my body, right? Because my being is yes, do it all. Let's come on, we got it. And my body, not so much. So until I really learn how to use these magic tools and magic wands to really transcend this 3D world, maybe that's what's coming. I also acknowledge that while I may be aware of other possibilities, it might be smart to also recognize that my body is here and now. And that if I want to continue playing, with all of you magical beings and with this beautiful world that we live in, I want to show you a squirrel moment. But I hadn't been in my office for a long time, and when I came back to really come back in, look, and you get a shot of the keyboard. Look at these beautiful girls that were here to meet me, talking about appreciating and acknowledging and being grateful for the natural world. Such magic. So anyway, my body. And also, honing in on what's really important, to me. And this is what's also kind of strange that I wanted to share. And Vicki, you were in the group over April, before April, and before I went away to Hawaii, and before I had gotten sick, so to speak, I was really playing with this notion of peace. I just kept getting all this information about peace and amplifying peace in my world, and what is peace in my world. And, you hear about peace and inner peace and world peace and, and it just like, it gets thrown around. But all of a sudden it was like, I heard that there was this piece to it that I had never acknowledged. And I was like, ooh, that's something, that's actually something that, that's for me to look at. So anyway, I had this whole idea of what I was going to do for 30 days of peace in the group. Usually that group is, I just post every day in November for 30 days of gratitude. But I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do an exploration, 30 days for peace. And I'm just going to, this is going to be my exploration, and those people in the group can participate and join along with me if they like. And it showed up so much differently than I anticipated, because I had anticipated really being in there in a different way. And then all of a sudden, this whole thing is in the middle of me being in bed, right? And being in a really different place. And a lot of really great awarenesses came out of that for me. And in the end, also this sense of intimacy, right? Like this sense of where there could be more intimacy, me with myself, also with people in my world, people in the world at large, and really curious about, about that, and how that also plays in with this notion of peace, or this energy, the energies, this collective energies of peace. And what's been showing up more and more and more is this sense that this is a real priority, like for all of us, really to dig into where are we with peace? Like, what is peace in our world? What do we embody as it? What do we know about it? What do we think about it? And where does any of that overlap, or where does that actually conflict or contradict or create some kind of struggle? I'd love to know, what is peace in your world, and what do you choose to cultivate it in your everyday life? And do you notice it in the world? I mean, there's so many ways that we can tune into and, focus on all the disharmony and all of the anger and the fear and the rage and the separation, right? But what about the peace? Where is that? Where can we actually, right? Instead of tuning into CNN and Fox News and gluttonously devouring all of the world's woes, where can we, as we go out our front door every day, or as we open our eyes in bed in the morning, where can we start really amplifying these whispers, these moments, these awarenesses of where there is actually peace in our world, right? And I use the word love, right? I mean, Buddhism uses loving kindness, and these words, we've talked about words before here, and how they are signposts, right? Like they point at something. And there can be so many different energies that all get kind of mixed up together, right? So when we say, I love you, what the heck does that mean, right? Does it mean because, I just gave you part of my candy bar, right? Or is it because, you want to spend the rest of your life with me? Or is it because, I'm your mother and I've just given you a Band-Aid? There's so many different ways of love, but what I'm talking about really taps into more of like, there is this energy, and for all my knowing and for all of my practice and for all of my energetic awareness, like I get it just in a different way. And this is the creation energy. This show is the art of creation, and we look at all these things, and yes, how can I create a life and a living that works for me? That's amazing. And what are the tangibles? How does that look? How do I create that? And in this discussion, infusing every molecule of it, infusing every word of it that we speak, infusing every action that we take and every choice that we make. There are these energies of peace, and I'll call it loving kindness, and oneness, unity. I mean, these words, they seem so small and so like we use them so flippantly, you know, and don't even realize what they are, right? Like the story of the man who sat on the box for years asking for treasure and then died, and they opened the box and found out he'd been sitting on the box all along, right? And it's what we have with these words. They're not the words themselves that are the power, but they give us inklings. They point the way. So anyway, a lot of things have been falling away, like a lot of things that, you know, I realize it's okay to ask for assistance, right? That's okay. I realize that it's okay to pursue joy, right? It's okay to amplify and dial those things up. Those things actually create more peace, more inclusion, more loving kindness on the planet. And this energy is the creation energy. And what does our life look like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years? What does our planet look like? And I know this is where it can start to get a little bit crazy sounding, if, you know, depending on where you sit. But I just get that there is this, there's an urgency, you know, there is an urgency for us to tap into this energy, to tap into it for us, right? So when we go out in the world, that we can actually interact and engage with other people from this space with these energies, right? What else can create a new possibility on this planet? If I'm jealous of you and I talk about you behind your back, if I say things to you to put doubt in your mind about yourself, if I tear you down in any way, even if it's with a smile, I'm not tapping into those energies. I'm tapping into other energies. And what is it that I want to amplify? And I just wonder, like, what else can we be aware of? And what if we actually did just let all the bull just fall away? Would we be willing to step into the space that's required of us? Would we be willing to have the courage? Would we be willing to have the voice? Would we be willing to have the intimacy? And I'm asking these questions because I'm asking myself too, right? This is a scary precipice for me too, right? This is a conversation about becoming something much bigger and much larger than I've ever looked at before. This is not about a coaching program. This is not about, like, how many clients do I have? This is not about, you know, did I get bumped up to first class on my flight? This is about what are we creating on the planet? And I guess this is my, like, woo, emphasis added. This is me sharing this urgency, so that if you are perceiving this as well, you know, if you're perceiving this is in your world, like, let's chat about it. And I'm not sure how the Art of Creation show is going to continue. And I'm going to keep trusting that this really strange and wonky thing that's showing up is going to, the steps will appear as it's required to take them. Vicki, I want to read here what you just posted. I create peace in the moment with awareness and a conscious thought of peace, and then literally breathing it in, slowing my breath down and then following it in my body. As you talk, I realize it's always there. I just don't stop and pay attention to its presence. So that's the challenge, to remember to acknowledge it and then breathe it in again. Yeah. Yeah. And it almost makes me wonder, right? Like, what is it? What are these things? Like, what are these things that are constantly pulling away our attention, right? Like it's all right here. And then all these distractions come in, right? These thoughts, these feelings, these things that pull us away from the knowing. And, it can come in the form of relationships too. It can come in the form of certain people that we are attracted to, even if we know that some things are not quite congruent. But yeah, all we need, right? Some say running is the easiest sport because all you need to do is start. Of course, caveat, you can add all kinds of expensive equipment after that. But it's sort of the same thing. I mean, we have everything that we require, right? We have all the apparatus, right? And so we just get to take our brain mind, put it on the shelf. It's going to keep going, no problem. It can do that. It's so good at that. Give it a little puzzle to solve, put it over here. And then, connecting with that body, connecting with your body, your sweet body, all of the cells, all the molecules. And, that's where our connection is. And when I say connection, it's just all one big soup. You can't take it apart. It's just, oh my gosh. So anyway, yes, it is becoming more and creating beyond this reality where we can be peace while also being in the flow of life. Exactly. And that's why, every time I've ever gone on a meditation retreat, there's like some, your brain, or my experience, my brain would like kick and scream and protest maybe the first several hours of meditation, right? And then all of a sudden it's just, it's beautiful. Hi Benny. And then when you leave, right, you go out into the flow of your life, and where does it go, right? It doesn't go anywhere. It's just all these things keep pulling us, and we get distracted, right? And I'm going to go on a limb here, but I'm just really curious about, we have the art of creation, right? And we almost didn't name this show that in the very beginning because of, possible ties to creationism, or, the sense of, it having a religious aspect. And we're like, but no, it's about what we're creating in our lives, and, what we're creating with the energy of what we're being. And that is, it's creating, and there's an art to it. We're creating. And, I was kind of inspired by that. I've been having some very strange dreams, and and it's like we have even this creation story, right, where we have Adam and we have Eve, and they're in the garden, and it's magical, right? And they have everything, and they can be anything, right? And there's this love and this sense of joy and peace and beauty, right? And this harmony and this unity, all the things. And then the serpent comes, right? And then you have fall from grace. That's how the story goes. But what if this is an allegory that we can apply to our day right now? What if the serpent is actually just all those distractions, right? All those things that try to pull us into this, into this physical reality that we're in, that we make more real than anything else sometimes, right? And we allow that to pull us away from what we know about that energy of peace, of loving kindness, that harmony that's possible, that we have not within us, but as we are simply part of the entirety of that infinite energy. So I kind of went longer than I had planned today, but if there's any, if you have anything else that you wanted to share about either what's been showing up with you in the last couple months, hopefully, hopefully any spiritual awakenings that you may have had, or any, transformational experiences didn't show up with quite as much flourish and drama as the one that I chose. But yeah, has anything showed up over the last month and a half that really has illuminated anything to a greater degree, or shown anything more different? And what is peace? And there's so much more, and I would like to explore this. And so I'm also going to offer this as an open call. So anyone who is perceiving more of this and would like to come on and have a conversation with me, or even just chat offline, and I can bring it into the conversation if you prefer, depending on how interested you are in being visible. But I would really like to explore this more and see what other people are experiencing right now, because this is not just for me. This is not just for me. And I know it's really important for all of us. So yeah, all the details, gonna ask the universe to contribute those, and don't leave me so hanging, because it's an interesting place to be in. But hey, Heather, I see you. Hi, another magical being that is also creating a lot on the planet. So grateful for you. So I am actually going to, thank you so much, Vicki. Thank you. I think we're going to wrap for today. And I would love, even if you're catching this afterwards, I'd really love to go back and read any comments that you might add in after, or, if there's anything that pops for you that warrants a conversation, I'd love to have that, because I just am really asking, what else can I know about this? And also, what is it about all this that I'm actually being asked to step into? Because I really get that there's something, and like I said, it involves all of us. And I know it is definitely time. So we're just going to have to put on our superhero capes and our witches hats, and have all the fun that we can, even if it gets a little weird. How does it get any better than that? I love that original definition of the word weird, of spirit, fate, and destiny. So, oh my gosh. And this is opening up a whole another conversation too, right? Because we talk about the universe sometimes. I know other people use the word God. Other people, have different ways of looking at creation, source energy, everything. But it is also really interesting, where are we called? And where does choice fit into all of that? So lots of things we can dig into, and I want to know what you're interested in exploring as well. So thank you so much. Yay! And yes, so you're going, so I that's what I was going to say. I know I am not the only one, right? I like to say you may be the only one like you, but you're not the only one. So, we are all different. We are all unique. We are all on our own journey, and we are all on this same journey together. However that works, I'm not sure, but I know it's true. And yay, the little hummingbird that comes and visits sometimes when I'm in sessions just came by to say hello. So we get to have that joyful hummingbird energy with us as we go out into the day. So I adore all of you. Thank you so much for being here today, tomorrow, in the future. And I wonder what we'll discover next. Bye, you guys.